and how we got here. So, why don't you share how you first connected with me?
Well, I had been teaching Tantra for a while, and I had heard about you through a few friends that had done readings with you. And it's so funny, I had this little resistance. Um, and I'm not exactly sure why, but it just came to me one day. I wanted to see how you led groups. I was checking out, working with different other Tantra teachers like Source Tantra. And so I just wrote you a letter, an email. And I said, I would love to assist one of your weekends, and here are my credentials.
Uh-huh.
And then I didn't hear from you for a month. So
That's right.
I figured just let it go.
I didn't respond. It was pretty bold. I think I met
Yeah.
you once or twice, and there it was. So I sat with it. And one of the beauties for me about this path of Tantra is sometimes the answers arise from within. You come to a knowingness because you're tuning in not just with the mind, the heart and spirit. And one day I knew I had been wanting to find a co-teacher. So I wrote back and said, well, assist is great, but would you be willing to co-teach my 6-month group?
And, it was my intuition as well, just to reach out to someone who I didn't really know.
Uh-huh.
And I got immediately promoted from assistant to co-teacher with you. And I have to say, it was scary at first. And, I felt really humbled and grateful. And I just dove into you, a 6-month Tantra training for women.
And I felt, oh, that was risky. We'll see what this is really like. And I felt like I added a whole set of resources to the work because you brought this other path. You'd actually been trained as a tantra teacher, and I hadn't. I had just grown into it over 20 some years,
Yeah,
30, 33 now.
yeah,
Um, so I felt enriched by it. And then what was so amazing was we worked together seamlessly.
right.
It felt like we know this.
Exactly. And we knew it in a similar enough way that that's the seamlessness came through.
Hmm.
And we both are intuitive. So, we in empathic. And so, sometimes it would be like the sentence would start to come out of your mouth and I'd finish it,
Huh?
but we'd have the same thoughts.
Hmm.
And it's such a beautiful gift, as Evalena would say, to be in the front row seat of transformation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that the most. And I'd also have times where we'd be ready to do a puja, these beautiful ceremonies of love that we do, and I'd get called out of the room or I'd have something going on with me and you'd just step in. And I'd
Yeah.
come back and it was as if I had been leading. That's where
Yes.
I gained so much respect for you. It's like, whoa, she's holding the same sacred space differently, but the same
Yeah.
sacredness.
Right. And that's, the essence of it is we're holding all these hearts. We're holding all these beings as they transform from conditioning around love and intimacy and sexuality to like a kind of freedom, a kind of safety that maybe they never felt before.
Hmm.
You and I are like mama bears around safety.
Yeah, we are. It's so important because when people get really safe, they can open. And one of the phrases I love is that when you learn boundaries and you share them, it's like it sets a perimeter of the playing field. Then you can play full out because you know where the edge is.
Right.
And
And
so,
it's not an either or, like everything's no or everything's yes and I'm not listening to my boundaries. I'm
mhm,
like really listening and learning how to speak them so that they're still inviting.
yeah.
And you're quite the word master at that, languaging and NVC and helping people say things in a way that keeps intimacy rather than repelling.
I would give an example of communication someone wanted to say to someone, and they say, "Can I tuck you in my pocket?"
Can I channel Evalena Rose now?
I hope some of them do.
Yeah, yeah, that's so wonderful that way.
I also feel that this work, the way we've taught it, I called my work Love Journey Tantra of the Heart.
Yes.
And the way we've taught it, people get themselves. It's it authenticates people. It helps them validate who they really are and let go of what culture told them and family and really arrive in themselves.
It will, and it's an empowering of them. Like we don't take on the power, like I'm the teacher. I'm
Hmm.
simply sharing. We're simply sharing what we know and we empower them.
Hmm.
And I think that's the beauty of any teacher, to empower the student rather than become the powerful one.
That's right. That's right. So you've used this term permissionary, permission zone.
Yes.
Can you share about that and how that came in to be used?
Well, it's a lot about what we teach. So stepping out of conditioning. And there was one point in my life, I was, I think, only 34, and I was being set free from marriage and wife and all these confines. And I was on a retreat with some friends, and it was so loving and so spacious. And I felt so free. And I looked at them and I go, we're in the permission zone. And it was in such wonderment that people could be like this. And years later, when I was making up my website and my branding and all of that, it's like, even though it might not make sense to everyone, I want to use the permission zone
Mm-hmm.
because and I think you too, we give people the permission to really be who they are
Yeah. Yeah.
and to really be loved and find those boundaries that they like, the walls against love, and heal them. And then permission to just really be like, what's our organic, authentic self?
Right. Right. And to let that emerge and validate it. And I feel one of the things I've loved the most is doing the 6 month group with you,
Mm.
in large part because we get to have people come again and again,
Yes.
and we get to know them. And what I see you being so masterful at is someone might be doing an exercise and you tune in and you'd know the exact words to go whisper in their ear. Or someone's in a puja and one person is really into it and the other one's not, and you know just what to say to that person to enroll them. It's magical.
It's so much fun. I come up slowly and I go, incoming Lindy. And then I'll just say some little awareness, it comes a lot from my Hakomi training, like just contacting what is, but it's slightly outside their awareness.
Hmm.
Really enjoying this person, this partner for this puja station. Let it show on your,
Yeah.
and then, yeah. So I get lots of, still to this day, people say, I remember when I was in this moment and you whispered in my ear. It feels really simple, but it's really our simple love that's profoundly healing.
Hmm. And available individually to people in the way they need it. So there's
Yes.
how we teach the whole group, but then there's these little kind of inobvious interventions that happen that most people aren't even aware of, especially in the pujas. I often think of us like conductors of a symphony orchestra, and each person's like an instrument, and we're helping tune this one and tune that one and tune this one.
Exactly. I got named the bliss conductor, and here's my conductor's wand. I
Oh,
found it on my porch one day. No shoulds. I erase all supposed tos. I bless you with joy.
And you
And it
thought
is
I was woo-woo.
oh, yes, we all have our own brand of woo woo, which seems totally ordinary now, doesn't it?
It does. It
Yeah.
does. It seems way more ordinary than how I was when I was in my enculturated self.
But the thing that's also so beautiful about teaching a group over 6 months, and then they also, like you said, repeat, is that they learn to be that way with each other.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
this community, if I say I have a withhold or I have a boundary, and the other person has learned to say thank you
Hmm.
and not take it personal. And then that way the community really supports each other as you and I support each other.
Hmm. Hmm. It really grew a community too. I think I miss that more than anything from my time out there, is that the same community would come to one puja after another. Many people did the 6 month group year after year. And so it grew in this compassionate, loving, caring community. And I know that many of them are still coming to your pujas because I get online. All the way
Yeah,
from Asheville, North Carolina, I get to be in your pujas.
yeah,
And it's very fascinating how deep the connection can be,
yeah,
especially for those of us who built it over these years.
exactly. And although I deeply miss doing these together with you, the the commute is into my living room now. And
Instead of 3 hours.
instead of 3 hours driving to Sebastopol from Santa Cruz. And I never thought I would do online. I was like, you know, I grew up on a horse ranch. It's like you get things done, you touch the paint, you ride the horse, and this technical side of it was in resistance,
Hmm.
or I should say non-technical. But we learned that we can really connect, even if it's simply on the screen,
Hmm. Hmm.
and feel energy with each other.
And enjoy mirror neurons. So you invite the person to touch as you're touching yourself, and you see that touch and you receive it. And then you both get to feel it. Yeah.
Uh,
And you can hug remembering what the hugs feel like.
yeah.
That's been my salvation during COVID is I can access the oxytocin remembering the embrace of people.
And although I miss being able to come and whisper in people's ears because we use breakout rooms, I love seeing their faces come back with these big smiles,
Uh-huh.
and to just create simple practices that they can go off together and then come back, just breathing, or like we just did, just touching and loving.
Hmm.
And there's still a possibility of eye gazing. Ah,
Absolutely. One of the people who'd studied with me said, the thing I love about Tantra is its intimacy without the story.
that's
It's beautiful. So people come to these experiences. We set the safety, we have the perimeters, and they get to really open to being deeply intimate and orgasmic with each other. Not what we traditionally call sexual, although in Tantra everything's sexual and everything's sacred.
right.
But it's being orgasmic, energetically connecting, heartgasms, third eye gasms, being able to really deepen in intimacy And then it's done. And we let people know then if you see people outside of that experience, you start over.
Right.
Because in the agreement field we create, you can share intimacy, but you don't know if that works in any other field.
Right.
And it gives people practice in something that we're all kind of doing on our own, trying to figure it out.
And I often give the Tantra warning, that in these practices we create the universal love.
Mm-hmm.
And that I might have an amazing, intimate connection with you, but that doesn't mean you're the one.
Exactly.
And we're always looking for the one. And I say, we're all the one.
That's right.
And so that sense of wanting or grasping can be just let go of, and we can be beloveds with one another.
Mm-hmm.
And the one, the many, but you might find a partner that wants to practice Tantra and dovetails in your life. But just feeling that deep love does not mean this person is meant to be your lifelong
Yeah.
partner.
So you don't add story, you don't add
Yes,
agenda. You
yes.
just stay with it and appreciate it, enjoy it, release it.
And release it.
And I think it teaches something really valuable of not clinging, not
Mhm.
holding on, trusting that the universe is full of love for you. Love for yourself, and for me the connection to the divine beloved has been so vital. And the more I feel that connection, the less I feel yearning. I don't need anything, I'm full.
Yeah.
And if I date someone, I would be with someone, partner with someone, that's additional. It's not to fill a hole that I've filled. I think Tantra helps us fill up our own holes.
Right. And come right up against the places where, in Hakama, you would say nourishment barrier. Like, oh, I can't feel it. I can't let it more in. And then you just breathe into, even if you only let it in this much, you breathe there instead of the lack. And that aperture then opens,
Mm-hmm.
and our sense of value, the permission to really like show up how we feel.
Yeah, yeah. And to feel how we feel because someone's actually out there that might want to know, and we want to
Right.
know. I'm so aware how people don't know their feelings if there's no permission to have them. And when they have
Yes.
permission to have them and share them, then they can know them.
Right. And, you and I are both really good coaches for that.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a past life bleed through, if it's something to release from this lifetime, um, if it's, just being able to have someone hold their hand while they face that fear because they got in trouble or they were wounded or worse, you and I are both really good at doing sessions with people to help them get through that bump, so to
Yeah. I've had some great sessions with you.
speak. I've had some great sessions with you,
Yeah.
and it's really, we bring the loving presence and we
Mm.
kind of get out of the way
Yep.
and we let spirit work through us in whatever ways, or the Council of 12.
Yeah. My favorite friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also our own wisdom nature. I
Mhm.
think all of us, every soul's done all of it somewhere and all of eternity. And we can really tap into this wisdom. I feel like I'm tapping into a tradition that's bigger than I've studied.
Yes, yes.
And it's teaching me. And I feel that in our connection, it's like we're both learning as we're teaching.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes I'll just kind of playfully, Goddess, what do I do next? And I maybe don't do it out loud, but I know and I trust. I don't have to know everything.
That's right.
The whisper does come through, and I trust whatever it is, even if it's like stand on their feet or walk around like a duck. I don't know. It's just trusting.
That's
Not that
right.
I've walked around like a duck, but
Might be fun. But trusting that bigger flow, that in a way we're in service of something that's ancient and vast, and there's what we've come to teach, but there's
Mm.
also something bigger than that. And especially in the pujas, I feel it. This sense of spirits here, and people's guides are here, and we always do meditations to help bring in that. And that something magical is happening. I just want to watch.
Exactly. Yeah, and then allowing that, I think for me, bringing them into their body more that they can listen too. Sometimes we're from here up or we're from here up, but to be all the way in the body and feel all the energy centers or chakras and have them like feel what's true, as you and I do while we're leading them, but also imbuing them with that understanding. And I know when I first studied Tantra, it was all about sexuality and relationship. And the part about chakras, I just kind of like, that's too much. And now I just live it. It's like, what is my heart saying, or what is off today that I could help myself breathe through so that I can be doing the dishes alive
Yeah.
and even sitting at the computer alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's so fun to have a friend like you that nothing is weird. Nothing is too weird. That we give each other that permission too.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. So, would you share a little about what you've got, what your offerings are right now? I think we posted the 6-month group, the link to it.
Yeah, and so the thought went by, like, as you were saying, this higher magic that we just kind of let channel through us, and then we just make up ways to play with it, to offer it. And so, yeah, I'm doing a 6-month Tantra training in January. It'll be one, as it stands now, one whole weekend, um, once a month.
Mm-hmm.
If the time comes when we can be live, it might be less than a whole weekend, but that's what it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I do a lot of introductory classes, short ones, just so people get it. I call it a taste of Tantra.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have pujas for different levels. So if you're a beginning or you're intermediate or you're an advanced, um, I'm getting to play with it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite things is this morning practice I do that you used to do every day when we had the same morning.
Mm-hmm.
Now my morning is her 3 hours later, but that we would, just sit and dedicate a half an hour just to breathing and embodiment and clearing out the energy field and tuning. It's like fine tuning a beautiful instrument. That instrument is us.
Mm-hmm. Through breathing practices and undulation, some, and you,
Mantras.
yeah, you brought a lot of the practices into that. I loved it. Every morning from 8 to 8:30 on the
Yeah,
West Coast. I
yeah,
really, it really got me in the perfect place for my day.
right.
Yeah.
And then asking our highest self for an affirmation or an intention for the day
Mm-hmm.
so that you don't just walk by that rose, you stop and smell it, or and I'm loving my private practice. I'm even finding that it's working with Zoom just beautifully. Not, yeah, and if I do see someone in person, it's 10 feet away, with the windows open, but really keeping us safe. And
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, we need intimacy. We need these connections.
Absolutely. I, for me, oxytocin is lifeblood. Being able to feel contact.
Yeah.
And so living alone, I do it like receiving hugs,
Yeah.
remembering them. I have a little dedicated pod I can embrace, and then really doing these practices that activate the vagus nerve and increase the flow there, the balance there, that increases oxytocin. So
Yeah.
it's kind of learning the biochemistry of the body and being able to work it, even
Right.
while we're on Zoom.
Right. Yeah, sounds like magic.
It does.
Alchemist for ourselves
Yeah. Yeah.
and being able to stay in tune and then even tuning with another or a cat or a dog or a horse or whatever that we keep that and right now there's so much going on in the world that's detuning. We become sour notes. I do.
Yes.
And so it's ever more important.
Yeah. The care and keeping of the chakra system that keeps things spinning correctly and balanced, and it
Right.
it allows us to me it allows us to be part of the solution instead of the problem. So there's all this chaos and who knows what going on and who knows when we'll know, but I can hold steady in my light. I can be an anchor for that.
Yes. Yes. And you do that so well. And you help people learn how to do that. And, we're cross pollinating with our students.
Here we are.
And so, I see people, having shifted a pattern or a way of thinking that you've been to, and then they come back to me for something else, and it's just a wonderful gift.
It is co-collaborators.
I have to say, I never like you go to college and you just study to be something and then you do it. I never decided I was going to be a Tantra teacher. It just, and the same with you, it just came to us. It's like
Hmm.
I knew I was a good teacher. And
Yeah.
that's that empathic way that we both have. We can feel people, see them, hear them at all these different levels. And how Tantra really changed my life and the simple tools, even in the simplest piece of presence with somebody, and
Hmm.
how, a lot of our wounding happened without that presence.
Exactly.
So someone just brings presence to through their eyes and no judgment and inviting out, and we just cup their genitals in their heart and
That's right. The old dissolves and the new arrives.
yeah.
Tantra, I feel Tantra gave me my life. I was just bored and didn't care if I was ever sexual again and was pretty much ready to check out in some ways. And I feel like Spirit went, "Oh, no, you don't." Spider Woman picked me up and dropped me in a Tantra workshop, and I was just there as a favor to a friend for 5 days on Hawaii where I couldn't get away.
Oh yes, how nice. Yes.
And all I heard was Olympic-sized swimming pool and jungle pools and 2 hot tubs, and you can stay for 3 weeks. And then I realized this was about sexuality, and I was there, and I couldn't leave, and whoa! And it renovated me over that time, and continually over many years, the practices took me out of that dark, negative way that I'd been up to that point, up to my 40s, and helped me evolve and find more of me and drop all of that and get into a way of life being really worth living. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you exude this life force. All we have to do is undulate a couple of times and we're in that joy and laughter.
Yeah.
My first Tantra training, a friend of mine had been to all the source Tantra trainings and she got 20 of us. And we went for the beginner and the intermediate class. And then we met once a month and did our own pujas.
Hmm.
I was terrified the first day. I thought it was just going to be one big orgy. And so I see that in new students, there's a kind of like they sit really nice with their notepads and all kind of serious. And then the intermediate students, I come in the room and they're all puppy piled.
You're right.
Yeah.
And what we've all found is that these spaces can be so safe to really practice being present.
Yes.
It's like being received for who we are rather than who we thought we were.
Right.
I even changed my name during that Tantra workshop.
You did.
They asked me what my name was, and I said, "Well, I'm thinking about going to Evalena Rose." And they said, "Well, let's use that this week." And by the end of the week, that's who I was. It's that life transforming. So this piece about you follow your heart, that's what got me in Asheville, North Carolina 2 years ago. It was very surprising. I wasn't planning to move cross country.
Right.
And I've really been devoting a lot of my life to my private practice, to channeling. And I'll be on Facebook Live tomorrow at noon, channeling the Council of 12 to people.
Wonderful.
But where I'm teaching Tantra now is in festivals. So I have one in November that I'll be doing a couple workshops and probably a puja. And almost every month I have one. So people will put my link in the comments. People can also look at my events. They'll have to find me, but online you can find me from anywhere.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. And the way you lead pujas and events like that, it's really helping people get into in a safe way, like what is it that this tantra thing is about and how can I open? And even in the basics, it's very simple opening. And watched you many times and co-led with you many times, and it's really worth it, even while it's still online.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can remember someone doing a puja once saying, I want to sit 6 feet away from everyone because I just don't want to merge. I want to do this in me. And that's very much like being online. You're not actually touching, but in some ways you're actually closer because you're just seeing the upper part of the other person. And it can feel very intimate, very satisfying.
Yeah.
So
And you
one of the,
learn the tools and you get to practice them.
yeah, I created an online class for one of the festivals, a solo erotic life.
Oh
So
my God, that was so good. I saw a clip of it. I'm like, oh, wow, it was so erotic and beautiful and juicy and just lovely to watch.
yeah, beautiful. Helping people fall in love with themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, this is wonderful talking to you. Is this feeling complete? Is there anything else you want to share?
No, I think just you can find me at lindyjames.com. Lindy, Lindy. And tell me again your website.
EvalenaRose.com.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Evalena, EvalenaRose.com. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been
Wonderful.
wonderful.
Oh.
I just more in love with you.
Me too. It's been really beautiful. Thank you.
So yeah, I hope we can do it again. I think it would be really lovely.
Yeah. Little bits and pieces that help people open to themselves. All right. Thank you, dear one.
Thank you,
Blessings.
dear one. Namaste, love.
Namaste. And blessings to everyone who's receiving this. And even if you watch it later, we ask the universe to infuse it with the love and the light that we're sharing here so that you get to receive that. Blessed be.
Blessed be. Bye, love.
Bye.